2025. Take one.
25. All right, so it's 2025, Joe, and we're kicking off the ROI Brothers.
That's
and,
right. Welcome everyone.
And we're going to be bringing some good insights. And first of all, let's talk about New Year's, because everybody makes resolutions, right?
They all do. They all do. I never seen the gyms more packed than January 1.
How long do you think it takes somebody to break one of those resolutions? Right?
Well, it's what now? It's the 17th.
Yeah.
I'd say about half of people are already done.
Yeah, so everybody starts off good. They want a resolution, they got a goal, but boy, I tell you what, about month 2, month 3, you find out who's really committed to it.
That's right.
So, and that's kind of what we want to talk about is, hey, what are some things happening for 2025, and what goals do you need to think about for 2025, and what do we see as insiders doing this every day about 2025?
Yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're here to try to help people set goals, commit to goals, and hopefully turn over a new leaf.
Yep.
Whatever you've done in the past, if you're not where you want to be, then guess what? That didn't work. So let's try something else. Let's try a new approach. Baby.
Right. So it's almost like, I always say, hey, it's a new year, but don't bring the same old person.
That's right. That's right.
You got to bring a new you to the new year.
That's right. That's right. And I'll go ahead and say this right now. I think I can say this on camera. I just completed the 75 hard, which was hard.
Right.
It's 2 workouts a day, drinking a gallon, doing a nonfiction reading that's sticking to a low carb diet. I lost 22 pounds in 75 days. That was a big journey for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's something for everybody. Everybody's got a different journey in life and where you come from and where you started. Where do you want to end though? Yeah. Let's start with the end in mind.
Right.
So let's get those goals down. Let's set them, and if we can be a part of that, that's what we want to do, right?
Yeah. So we're talking financial goals, health goals, relationship goals, and so let me ask you about that. What was kind of the mindset? What was the biggest mindset shift that you had to go through to do that? Because that's not an everyday challenge that most people can take on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in, I think decisions happen quickly. Whether people want to admit that or not, I think they happen very quickly. It's getting yourself to that point where you actually decide to take the action. Yeah. Because people talk about wanting to do diets or getting their finances together or being able to buy a home, let's say, but they talk and talk and talk and talk. Yeah. So for me, it was literally like, once I decided this is it, you burn the bridge. I burned the bridge. And I committed to 75 straight days of 2 workouts a day, and I was traveling. I had meetings. Luckily, I did not get sick, ironically, during that time, because that would have been a challenge in of itself. But there was a time where I was in Michigan at 11:30 at night, and I had to get my second workout in. So I had to get that done that night. And it was, it was crazy. And sticking to a diet, I'm addicted to sugar. I know there's probably a lot of people that could say the same thing. Sweet. And so that was probably the hardest thing, was the diet. And giving up the sugar and the cravings. But once you get through day 21, man, it wasn't hard again really until about day 55.
Right.
And then I almost was tired of it. But you persevere. You find a way to get it done. And when you're done with that, man, you literally feel like there isn't anything you can't do.
Yeah, so what I heard there, which was important, and we're talking about goal setting and forecasting things for 2025, life interruptions. Anytime you set a goal, there's going to be some life interruptions, whether it's your schedule, whether it's unplanned event, or you get sick, or there's a change in your circumstances.
Whether you got kids or job or...
And you've got to be able to persevere through that. So any goal you set, there is the life interruption. So, kudos again, because you demonstrate, I had this goal, but here are the life interruptions coming, right? And my weakness in that, coming. So, this is ordinary stuff. And so we want to talk to people on ordinary. We're not trying to talk to people that's off the planet and the 1%, you already got your thing going. Right. But we know a lot of you out there really need a good start this year and need some goals. So we're going to talk about some trends and some forecasting of what do you see happening for 2025.
Again, I think we can look at, a lot of people are in a place of stagnation, if you will, based off of the last political regime. And we're not trying to get political here, but we're just going to state some certain things. So at the end of the day, people were waiting to see who was going to be elected. And whether it was this person or that person may or may not have made a difference, really. But at the end of the day, we are in a position of inflation. Everyone was complaining about the cost of eggs.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
So the cost of eggs evidently was really high.
Yeah.
And so your dollar is not going as far as you want it to these days. That's basically what inflation means. And so is that going to continue for 2025, Louis?
Yeah.
We don't have a crystal ball, but I can tell you that I think it's going to get a little harder before it gets any easier.
Yeah.
So some of the advice that I've given to people, being from the financial planning world and being in finances and, thinking that I'm pretty good with it, it might be time to hunker down.
Yeah.
In talking with the client that had a recent budget issue, I'm like, well, let's take a look. How many streaming services you got?
Right.
She had like 14 streaming services.
Right.
I don't even think you can watch all those.
Right.
So those are some of the things that I'm talking about. Maybe you don't need Max and Showtime and this and that and Hulu and Netflix and Prime. I mean, there are so many streaming services.
Yeah.
There are ways to cut those things down. And again, that's just one small aspect, because we're not talking about the 1%ers.
Right.
The 1%ers, the 5%ers, the 10%ers, they got their stuff down. And they're not affected by any of this.
Right.
But those of you that are day-to-day working a, what I would call a blue-collar job, or maybe you're in mid-level management, whatever it is, you may have a ceiling cap on your income.
Yeah.
How are you going to get money to start working for you? Whether it's in real estate, in investments, are you appropriately diversified? I mean, there's so many questions to ask, but that can be one start.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, if you're just joining us, we are the ROI Brothers, and we're talking about forecasting for 2025 and some of the practical approaches, starting with New Year's resolutions and moving to, year planning and how your economic environment might impact your ability to achieve your goals. So there's internal aspects to this, and then there's the external aspect of that. And so we're really today talking about the external, but before we go, we're gonna challenge you with a couple of internal things that we think you ought to do.
Yeah, I think so. For the first time, let's give people a small task. How about that?
Absolutely. Okay, well, it's on you. So what do we see? What kind of forecast? What any numbers or anything, particularly trends or?
Well, again, a lot of people can kind of look this stuff up, but the one thing that's true in this market today is that for some, there are a lot of properties that are owned free and clear. Now, we may or may not be talking to those people, because there are certain things that you might and should be able to do with a property that you own free and clear. Maybe it's a good time to leverage that now. And there's ways to extract the income from a non-liquid asset. Okay. Right? Which means an asset that's not cash.
Okay. Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But for those of you that have not thought of or don't own a home currently, I think you really need to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, of course, we are in the business of real estate and finance and lending, so there's a little bit of bias there. But the one thing that holds true is that real estate will continue to appreciate and has for X number of decades. And I would say, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong here, Louis, but I think it's better to purchase a property in a higher interest rate environment than a low interest rate environment. Because when rates drop, what happens to real estate, Louis?
Right. Well, there we go. So
it goes through the roof.
Right?
So if you bought a house today and the price was X, it doesn't matter what it is. If your payment was $500 or even $1,000 more than it would be if it was in a lower interest rate environment, let's just do the simple math here. $1,000 times 12 months means you only paid $12,000 extra dollars for that property.
Right.
Now, whether that property is $300, $400, $500, $800, $1 million, $12,000 ain't that much.
No.
Because at the end of 1 year, if the rates drop even 1% or 2%, that home would go for, it's going to go for more than 12 grand.
Sure. Yeah, and you're going to put more people in the market because all of a sudden there's more buying power.
There's more buying power.
You
got more competition.
Yeah, and when I started out as a brand new agent years ago, it was double-digit interest rates. Interest rates were 10.5%, 11%, and they had come down from 15%. Right? So we thought, wow, this is great. They're only 10%.
Right.
And so, people used to have the same concern as maybe I should wait till interest rates go down, or maybe I should wait. I use that term today. People waiting, right?
Yeah.
Waiting for government change, waiting for the price of eggs to come down, right? No. And so I came up with this term years ago. You got to get in where you fit in.
That's right. That's
so
right.
if you can fit into a high interest rate market and get in, right? Because
Now you can take advantage of appreciation.
Absolutely. And
when you're renting, the only person taking advantage of appreciation is your landlord.
That's it. That's it. That's it. And even though we've been at this for long periods of time, you still can't predict it. You can't time the market. And we see so many people trying to do that.
They try to do it, man.
You know, when I save enough, when I get a promotion, win, win, win. And then win never comes because always something come in. So get in where you fit in and look at your finances. Take a scouting assessment of your own finances, or, you know, reach out. Joe can connect you easily, and let's look at what you got to work with, because sometimes you're better off than you actually think you are.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people, you know, in that situation, they think maybe their credit's too bad.
Sure.
At the end of the day, as long as you have income, you have a good stable job, and there's some steadiness to it, there is a loan program for you.
Yeah.
And now you might have to buy further away, you know, but again, you don't know what you don't know until you try.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and even if you don't have a straight W-2 job, you're self-employed, this or that, you know, there is a way to extract income from that, and there are programs that you might fit in with. The other thing too is a lot of people come in with like, I don't have a down payment.
Right.
Well, great. We've got down payment assistance programs.
Yeah.
You might be able to participate in that. Now, a lot of that's income restricted, but again, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know. And I think that's one of the things that we see of people trying to, what we call self-qualify.
All the time.
Because of all the tools that are on the web.
Day, every day.
And so I personally would advise against that, because there are things that Joe's going to see that the AI even's not going to see, right? No. They can accumulate all the data in the world, but they're not going to know whether it's warm or cold outside, right? So he may have something, you may have something that maybe somebody else has looked at, or the person self-qualified and said, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could use."
I would say that happens all the time. When I used to teach first-time buyer classes and even investor forums, it was amazing to me how many people didn't know about things like down payment assistance, or P&L programs, or bank statement loans, or what we can use our restricted stock option. Yes, there's all kinds of things. Now, has guidelines gotten tighter or looser? It's tough to say. I've been doing this for 20 years. It kind of goes up and down. We might be in a more tighter position right now, but by the time you see this, or later this year, it could have been loosened up already.
And so there's, you know, I'm always full of sayings, right? So my other saying is, what you don't know will hurt you.
Yes,
right. Absolutely. People used to tell me when I was growing up as a kid, what you don't know won't hurt you. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Because if you don't have the knowledge to know that an opportunity is available and you miss it, it will hurt you. Absolutely. And so get in the know, and getting around people that have been at it long enough to see things that you don't know is the way to go.
Again, I always think it's good to have an independent third party look at your finances, look at your budget, look at the real estate that you're trying to purchase. Again, Redfin and Zillow and all these other tools that are online, they're not going to have the personal touch or the expertise that somebody that's been doing this for 20 plus years has.
And the insider secret, they're not your friend. They want your data.
They just want your data. They're in the data business to sell that information.
That's between me and you, but that's the truth.
That is the truth.
What else people need to know about 2025? Let's see.
Well, we talked a little bit about inflation. We talked about how your money might not go as far as you want it to. You know, I don't know if it's a positive or negative outlook. I'm just going to be honest. It could be a mix of both right now. Again, the one thing that holds true over time is that real estate will continue to appreciate. And, you know, we have the stats. I don't have it right here in front of me, but if you look at the number of times that real estate has actually stalled or taken a hit in the last 80 years, it's been like 3 times. And we're not talking like 100% drop off. It's like a 1% dip, a 3% dip. Could this be one of those years, Louis? Could it be? Who knows?
Don't
but
know.
Again, get in where you fit in. If you can qualify right now and you've got a good stable job and income, and you're paying $1,800, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in rent, why wouldn't you do yourself and your family a favor by seeing what you could qualify for? It's not that difficult. Now, do you have to provide information? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We can't read your mind.
So let's ask the question. I'm a seller. What should a seller's mindset be? I got property. I've been holding it. Maybe this is year I think about selling or leverage, or what's our thought for sellers out there?
Well, I would say again, every person is a little bit different, and it depends on what their asset makeup is, what they have in reserves, what their overall life plan is.
Yeah.
I would say one option would be if someone's got a $1 million property that they bought 15 years ago, and maybe they owe nothing or a couple $100,000 on it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's time to take some equity out and go buy that second piece of property. Maybe you want that second home in Arizona and Carolina and Florida, in a place that's more affordable than here. That could be a strategy.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to take the money out and go buy a rental,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe you want to upgrade. Maybe you want to downgrade.
Yeah.
We've had older people, right, that are like been living in a 3,000, 3,500 square foot house with multiple levels where they're like, we just want a one level.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily need to live in Seattle anymore,
Right.
Louis.
Right.
Great. Let's downsize, get you, condo, whatever it might be. That's another strategy.
Yeah. Well, because I tell you right now, temperature is 38 degrees. Arizona's sounding good.
Yes, it does.
I might want to fit in Arizona. It's warmer.
Yeah.
And,
and to throw this out there in left field, I had a client that they took equity out of their property and they built a property in Portugal.
Portugal. Wow. Spain.
Yeah. So,
wow.
And you know what that cost? At the time, it was like $250,000, and they have everything they need there, and because they like to travel there.
Right.
So for them, that made the best. Now, is that the best decision for you?
Sure.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you're someone who has relatives in the Philippines, like myself.
Yep.
Or Mexico.
Yep.
Or some other place where land and the cost of goods and building is less expensive.
Yeah.
It might be the time to take some of that equity out and go do that.
Yeah, maybe
or sell the property, take the money, go buy a rental, and go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many things you can
And maybe our 51st state, Canada. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Canadians don't hate on me. That was just a joke.
Yeah. Well, and downtown Canada used to be a great investment.
Oh my
when
goodness.
all those condos.
Man. Love downtown Canada. I really do.
I still
love
like it.
Canada.
I still
folks.
like it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite
There's
places.
a few streets you got to avoid though.
Yeah. So. All right, so what kind of homework would we give someone that says, okay, well, I'm with you guys, it's sounding good.
Right.
How do I get started in this? What are some of the first things I need to do?
Well, again, I think it starts with what you said originally.
Yeah.
Like, what are your goals? What is it that you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
Is it, getting a better budget? Is it actually owning a home?
Sure.
Is it leveraging your current property? Again, coming from the financial planning world, a lot of times I think it's always best to play defense.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to me how many people think that they have enough coverage for life insurance and disability and all these other things, when in fact they don't.
Yeah.
So what if something happens to it?
Yeah.
Like, get protected, leverage yourself correctly. But I think the main thing we want to do is get people to state their goals.
Yep.
Like, what, your top 3 things you want to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
Like, let's get on that. And hopefully one of them is buying a home or leveraging a home. Like, I think that should be part of the homework.
Yeah. I love that. So leverage yourself and leverage your assets. That's a great.
Appropriately.
Appropriate.
Let's say appropriately.
Right, yeah.
Because back in the day, let's be honest, prior to 2007, there were a lot of people not leveraging correctly.
Yeah, a few people spend too much time at the bar.
Yes. Hey. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I did too.
Yeah. All right. So number 1, what are your goals, and state those goals. And I always find it's better if you write it down. And a place where you can look at it on occasion, because you want to program yourself to be thinking about that, not just consciously, but subconsciously. Absolutely. And then we have leveraging, appropriate level of leveraging. What else could we get them? So we talked about goals, assessments.
Yep.
I think just the education, right?
Yeah.
I think the education piece is an important part, because that's where you bridge the gap of knowledge, right? So. Start, how much do you know about real estate? How much do you know about investing? I mean, obviously there's a lot of information on the web. You can Google it until ad nauseum, but how much do you personally know, and what are you comfortable with?
Right. And you got to remember too, everything you read on the internet ain't true.
Just because it's on the internet.
Yeah. There is still a premium for those that have experience, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. And people don't share their best secrets on the internet, folks. I'm just telling you, they will say it, but it's not true. It's not true. I've known a lot of wealthy people, and they just don't do that.
Yeah.
But so you need to find out what I don't know, and then bridge that gap. So, financial education, which we're really big on,
Yes.
and we think that's an important tool. So if you continue to follow us, we're going to have some of those tools available for you to be able to
Now
participate.
we're going to give them the best stuff.
We'll give them.
We'll give them some teasers.
We'll give them the brother-in-law deal. Right? And so education, I think, is important. I never stopped learning, and I've been at this half my life, and I never stopped learning. And Joe, I've heard you say, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Never.
Right? You don't want to be the smartest guy or woman or person in the room. You want to be where you can constantly be challenged by somebody else's, inside knowledge and experience.
Inside knowledge, expertise, all those things. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I would say the other thing is, who's your team? So if you're going to start out on this, you need help.
Point.
You need some help, right? You can't do this by yourself.
None of us have done it on our own.
No, never.
I
mean, there's not been a time in my life that I've been successful without a team, without one or two or three people helping you. So first you need to, you need to get a good team. So if you're thinking about stepping into ownership, let's talk about something simple, right? Then you need a real estate broker part of that, you need a lender part of that. And we talk a lot about the financial advising piece of that, and maybe give them a little bit of background of your perspective on that, because you have both abilities, both to talk about, let's say, just a mortgage, but also that other piece that people don't talk very often, and that's the long-term planning, the long-term.
I mean, you gotta begin with the end in mind. You gotta think long-term. And I think the thing I learned early on when I started out originally as a financial advisor and planner, and I got all those licenses, and then eventually transitioned into mortgages because it was so hot, I guess, really, and then got into real estate and all that too. But the thing is when you're looking at someone's application, you can see you see their bank statement, you see exactly where they're spending money. And for me, I pride myself on trying to be an efficiency expert, which means different things to different people, right? But that's where I loved looking at people's stuff, and they're like, man, I don't know where I'm going to come up with an extra $200 a month to pay towards my 401k and take advantage of my matching, and how do I cut this?
Right.
Dude, you can find it. When you look through bank statements, you actually look at your data. And you have to be truthful with yourself, right? That's the hardest part. Again, coming back to doing the whole workout thing and doing this, I had to be hard on myself, like, oh yeah, I guess I do eat ice cream late at night. Right. My wife is sleeping, I'm sneaking downstairs. And like, you don't want to admit that stuff to yourself. And that's okay. But it's a new year. Let's start off on the right foot. Let's do the analysis. Let's get you on track. To me, it's not that hard once you get going. It's getting going that can be hard.
Let's make a new financial you, a new health you, a new relationship with you. Let's not just put the goals out, but make yourself an integral part of those goals.
I mean, again, for me, I think the health piece is such an eye-opening thing for me.
Important.
Like just learning about inflammation and our metabolism. These are all things I took for granted.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The financial stuff always seemed like it came easy to me because it was like, all I got to do is cut these streaming services, do this, do that, and I just saved $1,200.
And if you don't think that health is important to your financial success,
it absolutely
you are deluded, because the more energy you have, the more power you can generate, the longer you can work, the sharper you are, the clearer your clarity.
You make better decisions.
So important. So it is, and there is a big push, in our country and our region right now about health. And so that's one thing you've got to put there, top of your list.
Yes. And again, I think that's going to be a topic for us moving forward.
Oh, absolutely.
We've talked about that.
Absolutely.
Health, it starts with health. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your finances or be able to go to work or start that business or start that, whatever you got to do.
And by the way, if you're an investor, we got stuff for you too, because this is the master flips here, right? This guy's done so many flips. So we're going to walk you through how to do a flip, how some of the, how do you, don't hurt yourself, kind of.
And we do have the financing options available for that as well.
And financing options. So we want to be a turnkey support team. The ROI. We want you to have a good return on your investment for investing in your time with us and back to you as well. So
with your health, your finances. Being into property ownership. We believe that is a big key, is starting with that.
Yeah, we like you and we don't even know you. That's how vested we are
That's right.
into doing this. And so think about some of the things we've talked about. We'll continue to do these, but we'll give you ways to connect with us. But we'd love to be able to help you in any kind of personal way and challenge way. And like I said, for those that are beginning, it could be a big road, it could be a hard road, but when you got a team, you bite the big chunks down to a little bit of pieces, and all of a sudden you get this.
Make it
big road.
workable.
Absolutely,
Make it workable.
absolutely.
Yep,
So,
yep.
all right. Well, hey, we'll check us again on another episode. We'll keep these things coming. The ROI Brothers, you're going to get to know us. We're going to get to know you. We're going to be taking questions and insights from you. We're going to make this thing work. We're going to make you part of our team, and we're going to be part of your team.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
Boom.